Hi, John. This is Mike Lee from Saturday Sportsline Memories giving you a call back. Do you have a few minutes?
I'm all set.
Okay. John, thank you for talking with me. A little bit of background for those who are younger listening to this piece. You won the first game against the Raiders in Pittsburgh in the season opener, actually, 34-28. Pittsburgh built up a big lead, and then the Steelers had to hold off the Raiders near the end. Were you surprised in this playoff game, John, how it was defensively? It wasn't anything like the first game at all.
No, I wasn't really surprised. I knew Oakland with the snake loved to throw the ball, and they'd be scoring, and I knew that we had to score in order to win that game. But no idea of the score that it turned out.
Yes, it was a very tight game. There was no score at halftime, and in fact, there was only one field goal through three quarters. Roy Girella kicking it through, and then Girella kicked another field goal to give you folks a 6-0 lead. Stabler had come in to relieve Daryl Lamonica, who had been ineffective during that game, scored a touchdown to set up the big play. You had 16 rushes for 25 yards in that game, John. Franco Harris had 18 rushes for 64. Bradshaw was only 11 of 25 for 175 yards. Of course, 60 of that was the TD pass. Was there any talk in the locker room, John, as you recall, of maybe opening up the game a little bit since it was still 0-0?
Well, we thought that we could run and pass against Oakland. We knew that they had a very tough rushing defense, no doubt about that. I mean, our best plays just weren't taking effect on them. As far as the passing game was concerned, they had some hell of a defensive backs, and I got to give it to them. But what I thought the difference in that game would be the defense. Our steel curtain had come alive, and we had faith in it. We wanted to get a lead and hang on to it.
And for most of the game, you did exactly that until Stabler had that breakthrough touchdown.
And that was a fluke. He's scrambling, he throws that son of a gun, and I think our hearts dropped a little bit when that happened. And we call them all the snake. And we're so up for that game. Coach Noel had gotten us fired up. And I think individually, we all wanted that game more than anything in the world. And we weren't going to give up, even when they scored.
Yes, I saw that never give up philosophy about a year or so ago. You had a Zoom call with Franco. I watched it on YouTube, and you two were in agreement that one thing you would never do is give up. And when the cards were stacked against you there near the end, you never gave up. And now, when the touchdown was scored by Franco off of the deflection, did you have any? And there was a discussion afterward, a long discussion afterward. Were you thinking, oh no, this thing's going to be reversed, something's going to go wrong?
You want me to tell you the truth? I'll tell you the truth. The Frenchman does not lie. But, listen, on the play, I remember running out, more or less running a curl like, and like the ball being thrown. I got hit early. I'm laying on the ground. And like, I'm facing downfield. And like, I hear a, ooh, yay. And I did not see Franco catch the ball. I said it's over. We came so close to getting a chance for the whole championship. And like, all of a sudden, the "ah" became a "yay."
That was something to watch on television live, believe me.
Well, let me tell you something. Even if you were on the field and in my position, I took a good shot. I wasn't going to give up an interception. We collided. I mean, really collided. I think Jack hit me with everything he had, and I did not slow down a step. And we crashed. It was about the same size. I remember hitting the turf, saying, "Oh no, this is it. We've lost." And when I was going to the ground, and to me it was like in slow motion. I'm looking at Jack Tatum. He's jumping up and down. And I'm looking at this and it's going in slow motion. He's jumping up and down. I'm looking at his face. He had the biggest grin on his face that you could imagine. And like I said, it was like slow motion. The grin turned to a disbelief look. And I'm saying, what the hell is going on? I'm on the ground, and all of a sudden, Jack turns and starts running the other way. It's an "oh" and a "oh" and a cheer. And like, I'm saying now, what's going on? Number one, Jack Tatum just knocked the hell out. Number two, I'm saying, we've come so close. And number three, it's a cheer. I look to my right, and here goes this big Italian running down the sideline. And I'm saying, what's going on? Then Jack all of a sudden started chasing. And like, I don't know. The next thing that happens, Jack runs back to me and said, "Frenchy, you touched that damn ball." And I almost said, "Yeah, Jack, I did." But for some reason or another, I said nothing. I just watched and I looked. The next thing I saw was the referee raising his hand, touchdown. I was flabbergasted. The loquacity of my theology was very unpredictable at that time. And like, it was a touchdown. Jack runs to me and he says, "Frenchy," or what he really said was, "Fuqua, you touched that ball, didn't you?" And you know what? I almost said, "Yes, I did." Just out of the blow and everything else. But like, I just smiled.
And for our younger listeners, back in 1972, if the ball had been touched by you before it reached Franco, the play would not have stood up. Nowadays, it's a different story. But I remember in some videos that Franco did on YouTube a few years ago, the sensation that he described it was surreal, as if he was apart from reality, looking upon this from somewhere else. He didn't think, he said. He just reacted. He took the ball. He ran as fast as he could. And you said in that Zoom call last year, which I thought was humorous, you said you'd never seen him run so quickly in practice or in a game as he did when he caught that ball. But it was almost as if it was like another dimension, a Twilight Zone moment, if you will. Did you get that feeling that something a rip in the space-time continuum had happened here?
Of course. And like, I'll tell you one thing. Even to this day, I replay that play in my mind 6 or 8, maybe 10 times a year. And, of course, I say I wish I had caught the ball and made the score, but the team won, and that was what was more important. But, like, I remember this. Laying on the ground, saying, damn, it's over. And then all of a sudden, I hear an awe turn to a yay from the crowd. And I'm saying, what in the hell is going on? I also am watching Jack Tatum after he hit me. I'm laying on the ground looking up at Jack. Jack had a happy-go-lucky look on his face, and I actually seen it go to a Twilight Zone expression. Then he took off running down the field. And like I'm saying, what's going on? The next thing that I remember, after the referee raised his hand, was Jack running up to me. He ran back to me. I was still on the ground, and he said, Frenchy, you cut that damn ball, didn't you? And I looked up, and I smiled.
You know, I watched that replay numerous times, and there's also something on YouTube about a physicist or some scientist looking at the replay and concluding that you probably could not have touched it given the trajectory of the ball. It most likely hit Tatum and Tatum alone and then bounced, and of course Franco Harris caught it on the run. But in my judgment, John, I think that if we applied today's standards of replay to look at that pass, and the question was, well, did you touch it? And the existing rules of 72 were in effect today, the play would be upheld. The play would be upheld. It would be a touchdown because there was no, in my mind, John, no conclusive evidence to overturn that.
Okay, let me put it this way, as I have said 100 times. It's who the ball touched last. Now, if it touched me and went directly to Franco, then that would have been an incomplete pass.
Mm-hmm.
By the rules of that day. Am I correct?
Yes, you are. That's correct.
Now, keep in mind, the pass was thrown great, but I had to dive for it. And, like, the one thing I did know was that rule. That, like, hey, instead of giving him a chance to become a receiver, I became a defender. When I dived for that ball, if Jack had stayed out of it, it may not have been caught at all.
Uh-huh.
Keep in mind, excuse me, I got the hiccups, I got reflux, so I may pause every now and then. But keep in mind that year, as far as receiving was concerned, I think I was in the top 3 on our team in receiving. I could catch the ball. Now, when I dived for that ball, I dived as a receiver first, but as a defender second. I thought it was pass interference. After looking at it 30 years, it was a good play, I believe. And like the thing about it was this. Jack did not hesitate after our collision. He immediately turned and started at an angle chasing Franco. Now the question is, did the ball touch me or did it touch Jack? We both were hell bent on leather clever in getting that ball, one way or the other. Determination from him, determination from me. And believe me, I took a good shot, and he gave a good shot. From that point on, it was out of my hands, it was out of Jack's hands. That's when the big Italian came into the picture. I remember the blow I took. Jack jumping up and down, smiling, and it was like in slow motion. He was jumping up and down with a smile, and Jack very seldom smiled. The smile became a frown, and I glimpsed. I was wondering where the hell Franco was going. I thought it was over. And he's running down the sideline with one or two people to beat, which he did do, beat him. And the next thing I saw was the referee raise his hand in touchdown. They had a huddle that seemed like it lasted forever. And when that referee came out and he raised his hand, it became Immaculate.
So the next week you went to the AFC Championship game against the Miami Dolphins, who were undefeated and still to this day here in 2022 remain the only team to go through an NFL season undefeated and win a Super Bowl championship. That game was in Pittsburgh because of some strange playoff rules at the time. How did you go into that game feeling personally, John, about your chances of knocking off Miami and going to the Super Bowl?
I was very high. I probably was too high on that game. I knew that we could beat them. I knew we could beat them physically. We wanted to watch out for Paul Warfield. But on their defense, I thought we could run the ball against them with no problems. And I think at that time, experience as far as quarterbacks were concerned was the big issue. And I think that Greasy, I believe it was Greasy at that time. Am I correct?
Well, actually, Earl Morrill had come in after game number 5 because Greasy was injured. But as I recall in that championship game, Morrill was ineffective, and I if memory serves, I thought Greasy played part of that game. I might be wrong about that, but I thought he did.
Well, like I said, with Miami, and I had an opportunity to meet Don Shula. I thought we would win it, no doubt about it. I thought that the defense would beat the hell out of them physically, and that we would rush, and Franco would get 140 or 155 yards, and I'd get my 45, and we'd dominate that game. I think it was a case of riding a high instead of enjoying the high to the next week. When we beat the Oakland Raiders, a lot of us thought that we were on our way to the Super Bowl. We thought that we could beat Miami. Don Shula was a hell of a coach. And he came up with a game plan that kept the game close. And the defense stopped our traps and kind of concentrated on our wide receivers. And it was just a bad day for the Steelers.
Mm-hmm. But at that...
played them any other time, the following week or the week before, we'd have kicked their butts.
Uh-huh.
But that day, the best team won. And that's Miami, and I take my hats off to them.
But going back to the Immaculate Reception game, I would have to say now 50 years later, and I think a lot of people would agree, it set the foundation in place for what would become of the Pittsburgh Steelers dynasty, 4 Super Bowls in 6 years. Despite the fact that some people say, well, that didn't really set the foundation. They lost to Miami, and then they lost to Oakland in the opening round of the playoffs the following year, and it wasn't until the 74 upset in Oakland that they reached the Super Bowl. That really was the foundation. But no, to me, the foundation was that Immaculate Reception game, because it was a playoff victory that was 40 years in the making, and it I think, established confidence on the part of the players and the coaching staff. Would you agree with that?
Yes, I would, and I'll tell you a couple of reasons why. Number one, no, we didn't know what to expect for the playoffs because we hadn't been in any playoffs, really. Number two, we were playing teams that we knew we could beat. Number three, Bradshaw was coming of age, especially with his passes. A lot of people say that Bradshaw wasn't the greatest scholar as far as the passes were concerned and understanding defenses, but Bradshaw could throw a ball to you, and if you wanted the ball with the threads up, it would hit you like that. He was a hell of a quarterback. I have all the respect in the world for him, and he could put the ball in there. What I'm looking at is this. The Immaculate Reception made us come of age from a young team trying to climb the wall to a veteran team. And that's why the Immaculate Reception play was just one of the major steps in us becoming a legacy, a dominant force in the NFL.
Well, John, I would like to thank you very much for your time this afternoon. I appreciate it, and good luck to you. I hope that in a couple of months that there is a 50th gathering in Pittsburgh for the event. I don't know if there is, but if there isn't, there should be. Do you know of any 50th event coming up?
I've had some calls from the Steelers, but they said don't say anything at this time, and I won't.
Okay. Well, we'll be looking forward to it, whatever form it takes.
But I'll tell you one thing. I'll never tell.
Whether the ball hit you or not.
I'll never tell.
Well,
leave it at that.
That's your secret. And all right, John, good to talk with you, my friend. So much appreciated. All the best to you and your family. Take care.
Thank you, and the same to you.
Okay, bye-bye.